There is something you need to hear, Cancer, and I will not soften the truth. There is someone out there, right now, quietly crying because of you. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in a grief so deep, so unspoken, that even the universe trembles when their heart breaks. And here is the part that will stop you in your tracks. This person is not a stranger. They are not a passerby. They are someone whose presence once mattered in your life, someone whose energy once intertwined with yours in ways you never fully understood. And yet, you have no idea that their tears carry your name. Before we go further, welcome to Buddhist Teachings. If this message resonates, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue creating meaningful content for you. Now, listen closely, because what you're about to discover will change the way you look at your past, and perhaps, your future. There is a truth hidden behind these tears, a truth of regret, of missed chances, of silence that went on too long. This person cries because they lost you. They cry because, at the moment when they could have chosen honesty, they chose pride. When they could have stepped forward, they stepped back. When they could have spoken, they stayed silent. And now, every day, they live with a story that never found its ending. You may think this is just another tale. It is not. I tell you this with the certainty of a scholar who has spent decades studying cosmic imprints, karmic ties, and the emotional currents that bind two souls long after distance separates them. This person carries a burden that did not begin today, and it will not end tomorrow. Their tears are not random. They are karmic echoes returning to the surface. And in the next moments of this video, I will reveal what you have never been told, who this person truly is, why they cry, why they stayed silent, and most importantly, what these tears mean for your path forward. Because nothing in the universe happens without reason. Not their presence, not their absence, not their tears. So settle in, breathe deeply, trust the journey. What comes next is not just a story, it is a revelation meant for you. When the unspoken finally breaks, the hidden tears that call Cancer home. There are moments in life when truth doesn't arrive with thunder, but with a whisper so persistent it becomes impossible to ignore. And for Cancer, a sign shaped by memory, intuition, and a heart that never forgets what once mattered, this whisper has been growing louder. Not from within, but from someone who has been carrying a quiet storm of emotions for far too long. What unfolds next is not just a story, but a revealing of layers, slow, deliberate, and charged with the weight of unspoken confessions. It begins as a subtle pull, the kind you mistake for nostalgia until it hits you with the force of recognition. Someone out there has been shedding tears for you. Tears born not of weakness, but of a truth they never learned how to give voice to. And the deeper we go, the clearer it becomes. This is not a random emotional ripple. This is a long-delayed revelation shaped by fate itself. The universe has a strange way of bringing unresolved hearts back into alignment, especially for a sign like Cancer, who lives in the delicate space between past and present. For those born in the early days of the sign, the emotional thread leads backward, to a love that could have been, or almost was. Someone who once stood close enough to hold you, but hesitated at the threshold of commitment. Their tears come from the realization that they lost something irreplaceable before they even had the courage to claim it. I've always believed early-month Cancers carry the quiet melancholy of a beginning interrupted, and the energy around them now echoes that truth. That person feels the weight of what they never allowed themselves to say. Cancers born in the middle stretch of the sign feel a different pull, one that comes not from history, but from proximity. Someone who has been in your orbit, perhaps a friend, perhaps a companion of circumstance, someone who watched you navigate storms and found themselves moved by your resilience. They never confessed what they felt, partly out of respect, partly out of fear, and partly because they never believed they deserved to be considered. Middle-month Cancers have a way of unintentionally inspiring unspoken devotion, and this silent admirer has carried their feelings like a flame no one else knows exists. And then there are those born toward the end of the sign, the ones who learned the hardest lessons the hardest way. The tears shed for you come from someone who once hurt you, not out of malice but out of immaturity, confusion, or emotional blindness. The kind of person who recognizes too late what the heart has already lost. Late-month Cancers are often the keepers of karmic stories, and this person's regret is not simple sadness, but a genuine transformation that began the moment they understood what their choices cost them. But here is where the story shifts. These tears, so different in origin, yet so similar in intensity, create a pressure field of energy around Cancer. Emotional gravity, if you will. A pull that grows stronger as the universe rearranges itself to bring unfinished business to your doorstep. When emotions reach a certain density, they stop being internal. They demand movement. They seek expression. They push people toward the truth they've avoided. And the one shedding tears for you is no longer capable of carrying their silence without consequence. What makes this moment even more compelling is that Cancer feels it too. Maybe it arrived as a memory resurfacing at an inconvenient hour. Maybe it came as a quiet ache, a name drifting into your mind without warning, or a dream so vivid it lingered long after waking. Cancer has always been sensitive to energetic shifts, and right now the past is knocking, not to trap you, but to free you. There is a question that was never answered. A chapter that never truly ended. A truth that never found its voice. And perhaps this is the part that matters most. You are not imagining it. The connection is real. The pull is mutual. Somewhere, someone is finally reaching the moment where heartache becomes action. Where regret becomes courage. Where silence becomes confession. Not every story returns to be continued, but some return to be completed. And the universe, with all its strange timing and impossible precision, has decided that this is one of those stories. Whether the ending is closure, forgiveness, or a new beginning, Cancer is about to learn the truth that has been waiting in the shadows. The unspoken is coming forward, and the heart that once stayed silent is finding its voice at last. When the past walks back toward the light, the revelation meant for Cancer. There comes a moment in every lifetime when the unseen steps into the visible, when the quiet forces shaping your life begin to take form, and you realize the universe has been preparing you for a truth you were destined to face. For Cancer, this moment arrives not with noise, but with a trembling in the air, an echo of something unfinished, something calling your name from a distance you can't measure with logic, only with the heart. And what unfolds next is not merely a reunion of two paths, but a revelation crafted by time, regret, and the weight of what was never spoken. The universe, in its ancient wisdom, loves to return unfinished chapters. History has shown us this. Letters found decades after being written, lovers who reconnect after wars, long-lost friends who pick up conversations as if no time had passed. Human stories repeat themselves across eras, and Cancer, a sign ruled by memory and lunar tides, often finds themselves at the center of these karmic returns. When the past circles back, it isn't by coincidence. It is by alignment. And right now, that alignment is sharpening with an almost prophetic intensity. Cancer begins to notice subtle signs first. A dream that feels too vivid to dismiss. A name that surfaces out of nowhere, on the radio, in a conversation, in a place you least expect to hear it. An old memory that rises like a lantern out of dark water. Even people around you may start mentioning someone you haven't thought of in years. These aren't random. These are heralds, precursors to a moment of disclosure that has been building quietly like pressure beneath the earth. In psychology, we call this emotional resonance, when two souls who once shared a connection begin vibrating at similar frequencies again, pulling each other into awareness without ever exchanging a word. Cancer feels it first because intuition is their oldest language. And then comes the emergence, the return, delivered in the simplest, most human ways. A message that appears without warning. A phone call whose ringtone feels strangely familiar. A coincidental encounter that seems too perfectly timed to be chance. Sometimes the universe works through people, nudging a mutual friend to reconnect two souls who have unfinished business. When Cancer sees this person again, even if only through a screen, the heart will stir, not out of longing or regret, but out of recognition. It is the moment when you realize that something you thought was over had only paused, waiting for the right time to breathe again. What makes this moment so compelling is that Cancer is not bound by it. You are not responsible for the tears they have cried, nor for the regret carving its shape into their life. The universe is not asking you to fix anything, nor to carry any weight that does not belong to you. Your only responsibility is to yourself, to your truth, your boundaries, your emotional clarity. Whether their return is meant to bring closure, healing, or a second chance, Your role is simply to stand in your authenticity. And authenticity is something Cancer has spent years learning. Through loss, through patience, through the quiet rebuilding of a heart once broken. Still, this return carries significance. Because the person drawn back to you is not the same as before. Their journey has reshaped them. Their grief has humbled them. Their silence has sharpened their awareness of what you meant, what you still mean. In my observation of Cancers over decades, I've noticed a profound pattern. Those who leave Cancer often discover the depth of their loss only when distance strips away distraction. Cancer is a mirror people don't appreciate until they can no longer see their reflection in it. And now, that realization has become too heavy for them to keep to themselves. But this story is not just about them. It is about you, about the version of yourself that has emerged through endurance and quiet evolution. This revelation arrives at a time when you have outgrown many of your old wounds. You are no longer the person who waited for answers. You are the one who now recognizes that some answers come only when you stop needing them. And yet, the universe brings this truth forward anyway, not to bind you, but to free you. To free you from the weight of uncertainty. To free you from imagining what could have been. To free you from silent questions that once lived in the corners of your heart. The moment of revelation is near, and when it arrives, Cancer will finally see that the past does not return to imprison you, it returns to honor you. To acknowledge what you carried with grace. To reveal what was hidden. To express what was withheld. This is not a rekindling of the old. It is a recognition of the truth that survived. And as this truth unfolds, Cancer will realize that sometimes the universe does not bring people back to restart the story, but to finally finish the sentence left incomplete. The return of what was never said. Cancer's moment of truth and the heart that has finally changed. There are seasons in a person's life when the universe stops whispering and begins speaking directly to the soul. For Cancer, this is one of those seasons. One of those rare thresholds where fate, memory, and emotional gravity align so precisely that even the most grounded among us feel the pull. What is coming toward Cancer now is not merely a person from the past, but a truth that has been maturing in silence. A truth shaped by tears, by regret, by the long road someone has walked to finally become worthy of speaking the words they once withheld. And as the layers unfold, slowly, deliberately, like an ancient prophecy recited one verse at a time, Cancer is called not to carry the story, but to witness its arrival with clarity, dignity, and an open yet discerning heart. The return begins with honesty, not theirs, but yours. Because in this moment, Cancer stands not as the caretaker, the healer, the one who absorbs the emotions of others, but as the gatekeeper of their own truth. If the heart still holds affection, if a tenderness still lingers like a candle that never fully burned out, then perhaps the universe is inviting you to consider what a second chance, born from growth, not desperation, might look like. But if the heart has traveled far beyond that chapter, if peace has replaced longing, then honesty is your offering. Not cruelty. Not coldness. Just the clarity that frees both souls to continue their journeys unburdened. Cancer's responsibility is not to rescue, nor to repay emotional debt. Your responsibility is simply to be truthful, with yourself first, with them second. And make no mistake, the one who cries for you is not the same person who walked away, who hesitated, who wounded you with their silence or their uncertainty. Time has its own curriculum, and they have been its student. Loss has sanded down their ego. Regret has etched new awareness into their heart. Tears have softened the parts of them that once resisted vulnerability. Their return is not the recycling of an old pattern. It is the arrival of someone who has been rearranged by consequence. Someone who has stared long enough into the mirror of their own mistakes to understand that love is not promised, that Cancer is not replaceable, and that silence is sometimes the most devastating form of abandonment. If they come back now, they come back as a different version of themselves. One shaped by humility, by longing, by the knowledge that they may have lost the best thing that ever happened to them. But here is the turning point, the part where the lights shift and the narrative leans inward. Because before Cancer decides anything, before forgiveness, before closure, before the possibility of opening the door even a fraction, you must pause long enough to hear your own voice beneath the tides of emotion. Ask yourself, is there still an unfinished sentence in your heart? Or has the story already ended, even if the chapter was never formally closed? Do you feel a tug of sorrow when their name surfaces, or do you feel nothing but calm acceptance? These questions matter not because of them, but because of you. Your heart deserves to be consulted. Your truth deserves to be honored. I have seen this pattern in many cancers over decades of study. A past love returns, transformed, often sincere in their regret. But the true transformation is not theirs, it is Cancer's. Because you are no longer the person who waited for validation. You are no longer the version of yourself who confused silence with destiny. You have lived, you have learned, you have grown roots in your own strength. And that is why this moment is powerful. Not because they have changed, but because you have. When history knocks, Cancer is not required to reopen the door. You are invited to consider, to reflect, to feel, but not to surrender your peace. If love still lives, let it speak. If closure is required, let it heal. If nothing remains, let honesty be the final gift you give to a story that once mattered. Because in the end, the return of this person is not about rekindling the past, it is about honoring the truth. The truth of what was, the truth of what has changed, and the truth of who Cancer has become. And no matter what you choose, the universe will align behind you, because this time, the decision belongs entirely to you. When regret finds its voice, the moment Cancer finally hears the truth that was never spoken. There are certain stories in life that refuse to fade, no matter how many seasons pass or how far two souls drift. They linger, not because of attachment, but because they were interrupted too abruptly, left suspended in the air like a final note that never found its place in the song. And for Cancer, a sign whose memory is both a sanctuary and a battlefield, this lingering thread begins to vibrate again, calling them toward a truth that has been waiting in the shadows. What unfolds is not an echo of the past, but an unfolding revelation, told layer by layer with the precision of fate and the urgency of a heart finally ready to speak. Regret has always been one of the most profound teachers in history. Entire empires have been built and destroyed by leaders who acted too late. Letters discovered centuries later reveal love confessions that never reached their destination. And in the private chambers of the human heart, regret becomes the chisel that shapes wisdom out of loss. The person shedding tears for Cancer now is living this lesson. Their regret is not poetic, it is raw, unfiltered, the kind that reshapes the spine of a person. They finally see the value of what they lost. They finally understand that Cancer was not someone to move on from, but someone they were supposed to grow toward. This realization has carved itself deep within them, and the approaching conversation, this long-awaited reckoning of truth, will be the moment where everything they've held back comes spilling into the open. For Cancer, this is not merely a reunion. It is the unveiling of emotional archaeology. Buried sentiments will surface. Hidden truths will be spoken. The heart that once ran from vulnerability will now stand unshielded, because silence has become too heavy to bear. The video, if you imagine it, would move through these revelations like a camera gliding through time, shifting from the past where misunderstandings began, to the present where truth knocks with urgency, and to a future still unwritten, waiting for Cancer's choice. And within this cinematic unfolding, the storytelling splits into distinct emotional pathways depending on the listener's birth date. Cancer born early in the month faces a confession from someone who almost became a lover, a story halted at the threshold of possibility. Mid-month Cancer witnesses a quiet devotion finally breaking its silence. Late-month Cancer receives remorse from someone who hurt them deeply but has since transformed. These distinctions aren't mere labels. They are emotional fingerprints, each carrying its own private mythology. It is this personal touch that pulls the listener inward, making the narrative feel intimately theirs. But beneath all these threads lies the central lesson. Regret is the shadow of an opportunity not taken. The person returning is not seeking pity or absolution. They are seeking truth, the kind of truth that liberates both the confessor and the one who listens. Their tears are not demands. Their pain is not a claim of ownership. It is the price of awakening, the cost of finally understanding how precious Cancer truly was. And now, with the weight of their own growth pushing them forward, they are ready to speak what they never could. The dialogue that approaches is a crossroads. Not a reconciliation written in advance, not a promise of a rekindled flame, but a moment of complete transparency. It will open doors, not necessarily to romance, but to clarity. For Cancer, clarity has always been the cornerstone of emotional peace. And this conversation offers exactly that: a release of old emotions, a cleansing of silent wounds, and a chance to choose the next direction with a steady heart. What matters most now is not the return itself, but Cancer's ability to listen inward. Does the heart tremble with unfinished longing, or does it stand still in acceptance? Does the mention of their name ignite warmth, or simply gratitude for what once was? Cancer is not obligated to revive the past, nor to soothe someone else's regret. The only responsibility is to respond with honesty, to themselves, and then to the person seeking closure or connection. This moment is not about rewriting history. It is about reclaiming the truth buried beneath it. It is about allowing regret to complete its lesson and letting emotional clarity usher both souls into the next chapter, whether that chapter is shared or separate. In the end, the universe does not bring someone back to disrupt Cancer's peace. It brings them back so that truth, long denied, may finally take its rightful place. And in that truth, Cancer will find the freedom to choose their future with a heart unburdened and a spirit newly awakened. The heart's final threshold. Cancer and the destiny-shaping choice ahead. There are moments in life when everything, memory, intuition, unfinished emotion, converges into a single point of decision, a crossroads carved not by chance but by the quiet architecture of destiny. For Cancer, this is one of those rare, luminous thresholds. A moment where the past steps out of its silent corridors and into the present, where a heart once distant returns carrying tears, truths, and the weight of all that was never said. And what stands before you now is not just a person. It is a reckoning, a revelation, a doorway into clarity that only time and regret could have built. The universe does not place you here lightly. Imagine this moment like the final scene of a grand, emotional film. One where the storyteller pulls back layer after layer, revealing truths that were never spoken, confessions that were too fragile to hold, and the deep-rooted human ache of wanting just one more chance to say what should have been said long ago. The person returning to Cancer is walking toward you with a heart reshaped by its own mistakes, carrying a depth of regret that finally taught them what they could not see before. History is full of these turning points: emperors who realized too late what loyalty meant, soldiers who wrote letters home they never mailed, lovers whose greatest heartbreak was the silence they mistook for strength. Regret is the most ancient tutor of the human soul, and this person has learned from it with every breath. Now they come back not as who they were, but as who they have become, quieter, humbler, more aware of what they once took for granted. Their tears are not a strategy. They are a testament, a map of their transformation, the price of their awakening. And as they approach, as this long-awaited conversation draws near, the air around Cancer begins to shift with the intensity of an emotional storm preparing to break. You may feel it in the tug of an old memory, in the sudden softness in your chest when their name drifts through your mind, in the strange mix of familiarity and caution that rises inside you. That is your intuition, your oldest compass, telling you that the story is reaching its pivotal moment. And yet, in this great turning of events, the most important role belongs not to them, but to you. Because this moment is not designed to overwhelm you. It is designed to empower you, to guide you gently back toward your own truth. If you choose to hear them, let your heart listen, not your wounds. Do not rush toward comfort nor recoil from vulnerability. Let the moment breathe. Let the truth unfold at its own pace. Listen not to the noise of old emotions, but to the clear, steady voice inside, the one that has been shaped by years of growth, healing, and self-respect. I have watched many Cancers of your generation navigate these emotional crossroads with a wisdom that younger hearts rarely possess. You understand things now that you couldn't have understood decades ago. The difference between fear and intuition, between longing and compatibility, between love that heals and love that drains. These insights are your armor, your guide, your quiet power. And they are precisely why the universe chose this moment. Not earlier, not later, for the truth to return. You are ready to hear it. And more importantly, you are ready to choose from a place of strength, not longing. Because the final message of this story is not about rekindling or rejecting a romance. It is about authenticity. About honoring the truth you carry now, not the one you carried years ago. If you still feel something tender, then give it space to grow. If your heart feels complete without them, Then speak your truth gently and let the chapter close with dignity. What matters is not the direction you choose, but the honesty behind it. For the tears they shed now are real. They are late, but they are real. And they stand as proof not of failure, but of feeling. Proof that what you offered, your love, your presence, your loyalty, was never forgotten, never dismissed, never replaced. It simply took them too long to understand its worth. Now Cancer stands at a defining moment, the chance to resurrect a story with new wisdom and new boundaries, or to close it forever, finally and peacefully. Whichever path you choose, the universe will walk with you. Because this moment is not about the past returning. It is about your soul claiming its truth. And the truth, once spoken, will set everything else free. Cancer, this is the moment where everything rises to its peak. Not a soft goodbye, not a gentle closing of a chapter, but a breaking open of truth that refuses to stay in the shadows any longer. You have heard their tears, you have felt their regret, you have walked through the echoes of what once was. But now, the focus returns to where it has always belonged, to you. To your heart. To your choice. Because this ending is not about the person who cried in silence. It is about the person who must now decide what to do with the truth. You. You are the one standing at the threshold. You are the one the universe has been preparing. And the question ahead is not what they feel anymore, but what you feel when the truth finally reaches your hands. This is the moment Cancer must turn inward. To listen without fear. To acknowledge what still lives inside, and what has already died. To distinguish between the past that shaped you, the present that grounds you, and the future that is quietly asking for your permission to begin. Whatever rises within you, longing, closure, love, indifference, peace, it is valid. It is yours. And only yours. Yes, their tears are real. Yes, they reveal something undeniable. But you are not obligated to carry anyone's sorrow. You do not owe anyone a return simply because they finally understood your worth. Your only responsibility is to honor your own soul. If your heart whispers yes, let it be yes. If your heart has already walked away, let it walk with dignity and clarity. A cycle is closing, Cancer. The uncertainty, the unanswered questions, the silent wondering, all of it is nearing its end. Soon, you will know the truth that has been circling you for so long. And once you know, the choice becomes yours alone. No pressure. No judgment. No expectation. Just truth. When that moment arrives, breathe deeply. Look honestly within. And remember that whatever you choose will be the right choice, because it will come from a place of awareness, not fear. If this message resonates with something inside you, allow yourself to reflect. Share your thoughts if you feel called to. And stay close. More guidance, more clarity, and more understanding will come in the next chapters of your journey. You are ready. The truth is approaching. And the decision will be yours.